Hey guys, and welcome back. This will be part 4 of the all-terrain track chair disassembly. Last time we chatted, this battery tray was in there, so the first thing I did, start of this work, is take that out of there. I've got a little bit of work to do there, mainly replacing some fasteners, that sort of thing. Main focus here though has been more disassembly. You'll notice that the back end looks a wee bit more open, and that is, I have taken those rear hoops off, those down bars and the hoop. That's all off. There's the packet of bolts, and been focusing on getting the hydraulic system out, also preparing to get the engine out. Everything that's orange there's some welding on it. It's going to need to be sandblasted and powder coated. So I have disconnected these hoses that go into that pump on this side. I put on the short hoses and capped the ends. Did that on both ends of the hoses. Main reason there is to keep hydraulic oil from spilling all over, and the other main reason is to keep dust and dirt out of the system. As we start to weld and grind, there's going to be a lot of grit in the air, and I'm doing my best to keep that out of the system, keep that clean. So I've gotten this side pretty much ready to go. We got to do that on this side over here. Oil cooler is hanging there, and we'll disconnect those hoses, put the other shorty hoses on, and then the two pumps, hoses, and tank, I'm going to take that all off as one complete assembly and keep that together so that it stays clean. Then the hoses that route up to the motors will go up front there, and they'll come off later when the rest of this comes apart. So we're going to get to this and see if we can get the pumps the rest of the way out. Alright, got the pump out on this side, the left side. The tank is off of the bracket and routed up and over, sitting on the engine right now. And I've got the right side pump also out, along with the filter housing. Next step here is lift all that stuff down onto this cart and then wheel it out of the way. There we go. Got all the stuff out. Got a tank, filter housing, and then the pumps, two pumps, one oil cooler. The other one I have put away because it had extra hose on there, so I wrapped that around and just eliminated that oil cooler. This other one had enough oil in it. I didn't want to disconnect it, so I kept that one connected. So that clears out quite a lot of space here. So that's where the left side pump was. And then over to the right side. And now there's just this little water separator, I believe that is, for the diesel. Need to disconnect that from that back plate. Motor mount, disconnect that. And then there's 3 bolts underneath there, 3 bolts there, and then this rear back plate is going to come off. And after that, then it's going to be ready to take the motor out of here. Now I've got this bushing removed that sat here, and this bracket bolted on there. It's right there. I've got that removed in preparation for getting this rear plate off. I removed the water separator from that plate, and now we've just got those 3 bolts on each side. There's a nut on the bottom side. Going to remove that, and then that plate will come out. You'll note that the engine is supported by those blocks right there, and also the engine bushings up here are pretty stiff, but I've got a block underneath there to make sure it doesn't drop and put stress on those. So here we go. Alright, I got the back plate, all the bolts loosened up. Put a wrench on there to hold it in place, that drop, and then we'll Alright, there's the engine. And there's a plate out of there. So that makes a lot more room to lift this engine out nice and easy. So that'll be our next step. Alright, the engine is just about ready to come out. I'm going to take the radiator out with it at the same time. I don't really want to make the mess of draining the radiator. There's a petcock there, and release that, and coolant all over the place. So I'm going to take the radiator out together with it. To do that and prevent any damage, need a way to secure the radiator, and also a good way to lift this thing. So I've come up with this engine cradle, angle up there, bolts right into nutserts on the radiator, so that'll lift the radiator. That's tied to this tube across here, and then this tube here with threaded rods down to the wings on the engine. There's a nut underneath there, nut right there on that rear one. So we can put the straps around the tops here, hook onto the crane, and lift this thing out. We're going to use the knuckle boom crane right up here that's on the truck. I converted that to electric drive quite a while ago, so that'll make it quick and easy to bring the hook over, strap it up here, and pull the engine out. Alright, I got the crane hooked up here onto the cradle. Engine is actually free, it's floating there. And then when we get it out, we're not going to leave it hanging on the crane. That's not very safe. Locks up the crane as well. So I made this cradle on a roller, and these 4x4 posts meet up right where those motor mount arms are, and then the blocks on the back will match up to where the flywheel is, so it'll sit right down on that. Then I can strap it to that cart and roll it around, put it out of the way, and cover it up so it's free from debris while we do the rest of this. So next step here, lift it out, put it on the cradle. All right, got the engine down on the dolly cradle here. Got the crane loosened up. We'll take that off shortly, and you can see what a nice empty area that makes here on the track chair itself. I've got to take off a few more pieces, then that entire orange thing is going to come out of there pretty soon as well. Alright, I've got the crane all rigged for the next pick. That is going to be this orange base plate that the engine and on all the hydros mounted to. I released the plates that hold it down, and I've got it rigged, and we're going to pop that out of here. Alright, I've got the engine cradle out. It leaves quite a hole here in the back end. Video does not do it justice. We're going to take that, swing it over here, and put it on these two little carts. That piece is surprisingly heavy, so we're going to get that out of the way. There's a little bit of welding to it, and it gives us good access here to the whole back end frame to get welded. Alright, engine cradle is out. Got it on these carts so I can roll it away, do a little bit of welding on those steel pieces. And then here you can see the back end all nice and empty. Now, and it gives much better access for the welding that will need to go on inside here. You can see all the way around those tubes will get to be welded, plates in this corner, so on. So, got a few more things to continue to take apart before we do that welding. Alright, so now we're working on taking the tracks off. I got one track off on this side. It went pretty good coming off actually, and they're heavy. They're about 200 pounds a piece or more. I don't remember exactly. So I'm going to use the crane to lift this track up out of the way, put it on that pallet, and then I can deal with it from there. Then after that, I can work on finish disassembling this whole track suspension. I want to get all the rubber stuff off of here before I start to do too much welding here. There's going to be a lot of spatter, that sort of stuff, and rubber and hot spatter don't mix well together. So we're going to get this track out of the way. In the quest of getting rubber out of the way for welding, you'll notice that the right side track is completely off, and I've started to disassemble the idlers back here. The upper idler is gone. The track tensioner slack idler up here is gone, and that stuff is right over here. There's the sprocket. There's part of the idler axle back there. And so we're going to continue to take this stuff apart and get get those rubber wheels out of there and start some welding in a few spots. And at some point here soon, I'm going to get that pump motor out of there as well, which will get those rubber hoses out of the way. So getting things moving along here. Over here is the track. It does take up a whole pallet just by itself. Got it curled up. Hopefully I can put the second one on top of that. All right, we'll get back to it and keep getting this side torn down. All right, the right side of the track suspension is completely disassembled and off of the frame. And one of the things this unlocks then is I've got a couple more holes here to drill and tap to hold that side panel on. And then from here all the way back to here, that'll get capped in with some sheet metal, maybe aluminum, maybe steel, haven't decided yet. But I couldn't get to that with all the track and suspension on. So that'll be part of the next project there. Here is all the parts for the track suspension for this side, along with a couple boogie wheel swing arm assemblies right over there. And there's quite a bit of welding to do on each one of those swing arms as well. They've all only been tack welded together, some more than others, so there's some full welding to do there. And I did do a couple welds here, one on that 2x3 tube and the other one right there, as well as tack welding on that plate right there. It was loose, so that's tack welded on. And then at some point I'll take off that 1/2 inch side plate there, but I want to make sure that the 2x3 tubes that support the suspension were securely welded on before I do that. So next up we'll do that cladding there along the side, and then probably flip over to the other track and work on that. Alright, so continuing work on this side here, I've got the aluminum sheet cut to width and length to fill in this gap. I got these additional bolt holes drilled and tapped. There's the tap. It is a speed tap, which works nice. Pushes the chips forward and you just keep turning forward rather than a conventional tap, much slower. So we've got to cut a few notches in this sheet to go around this 2x3 tube right here. Got to go around the emergency brake cable. It comes here. Right here it's going to shove up into the corner, so we'll put a little relief notch there. And then we've got to do some relief cutting around here to go where the emergency brake cable goes up to the caliper there. So I'm going to go ahead and start getting that trimmed up, and then get it clamped into place and start drilling and tapping some more holes. I got this aluminum sheet cut to fit, and now it goes around the tube there and around this stuff. And so now we can start drilling holes and clamping it to place, and then once I get done with that, then I'll cut a hole for this emergency brake cable to pop through. Got the aluminum panel with all the holes drilled and tapped, 1/4 20. There's a total of 20 of those that hold that panel on in its entirety. I got the hole drilled for the e-brake cable to go through. I will put some wrapping around that cable before it goes through that hole when I put it together for final assembly, so it doesn't rub. And now need to clean up a few tools, and then we're going to go around to the other side and start taking off the track, and everything that we did on this side repeat on the left side. So let's get to it. Left side track is off. Here they are on the pallet. And then I'm starting to work on disassemble the left side suspension there. And I thought I'd show the puller that I made to pull the boogie wheels off. You take the nut off, take the dust cap off, then take the nut off. And then they sit on there snug that you can't just jerk them off, and you don't want to beat on them with a hammer. But I can turn that nut, and that's a 1-inch shaft, and I can turn that nut and that shaft with just my hand, and it just eases that boogie wheel off of the shaft just real nice. So that's been a really handy tool for disassembling these boogie wheels from the system. It was well worth the time to make that up, and it's been working great. Here we go, left side, suspension's completely disassembled, track is off, carried all those bits out and put them on a pallet so they're away. Got that filler panel on there, that was another 20 fasteners to hold that on. Drill at 13/64 and then tap 1/4 20. Those are all done, that's all buttoned up. Tapped in a few other holes that were missing, and that's going to be a wrap for this time. So next time when we come back, it's really going to be time for welding. There's other little kibbles and bits here and there of things to do, but majority is going to be welding. So until next time, have a good one. Please like and subscribe. Those people that are watching these videos, thank you for watching. Any questions, please comment, and we'll catch you next time.